Hello, everybody. The scripture reading for today is from Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 to 15. Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 to 15.
Exodus 3, 1-15. Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness, and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet it was not consumed. Then Moses said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight, and see why the bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Come no closer, remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He said further, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people who are in Egypt. I have heard their cry on account of their taskmasters. Indeed, I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to the country of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The cry of the Israelites has now come to me. I have also seen how the Egyptians oppress them. So come, I will send you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He said, I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that it is I who sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God on this mountain. But Moses said to God, If I come to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your ancestors has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. He said further, Thus you shall say to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the Israelites, The Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this my title for all generations.
Now, in today's scripture reading, we read that God appeared to Moses in a burning bush. Okay, it is a divine encounter that Moses had with God. Yet, when God asked Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses wasn't sure of himself. He gave God, in today's reading, two excuses. Although we know that Moses gave much more excuses, but based on today's reading, he gave God two excuses. The first excuse that Moses gave was this: Who am I that I should go to the Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? Now, in response to that, God actually replied Moses on his inadequacy. Okay, who is Moses, right? And the second excuse that Moses gave is this: if I come to the Israelites and say to them, blah, 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 and they ask me, blah, 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 what should I say to them? Okay, Moses was still very unsure of himself, and God, in this today's scripture reading, also replied to him. Now, do we also give excuses like Moses when God asks us to do certain things? In our discussion today, perhaps you can share on these two questions. What is God asking you to do now in church, in your household, and in your workplace? What is God asking you to do now in church, in your household, and in your workplace? And how has today's passage spoken to you? And how do you respond to what God has called you to do? God bless you. See you again.